is a little bit of shortage of time. So we will have just few pearls of wisdom, which means everyone here, the panelists, I would request on that particular topic that we're going to just start talking. Few quick points, that's very, very important, and probably I'll try and intervene in between to see that it becomes a little interesting, that we do a mix of the system integrators, the corporates and the brands, the distributors, and the associations. Great topic, and we have been talking a little bit about and heard so many people talk on this. There's no doubt that when we look at what is impacting our world, technology is one of the most important critical point that comes on our radar when we think of what is impacting and shaping our lives. So much so that today's organizations, when they look at gaining competitiveness, they look at technology. Today's customers, looking at their demographics and the age, etc., when they look at consumption of content or consumption of any social networking, they look at technology. You think of government, and you saw and you heard Mr. Sharma talk about how the government programs can be made so effective in terms of their delivery if technology gets used. And of course, this hall is all full of technology related people, whether they are vendors or the distributors or system integrators. But in what way can we think of the best practices that can be adopted in this when we look at India? When we look at nation building and we look at the industry size, IT hardware industry, this is the big turning point. And so, because there are all elements of this industry that we are today talking about, whether supply, in terms of making India as one of the big manufacturing base, whether design center, making India one of the big innovation center, and creating value, and not only just adding marginal 5 or 10% value, and seeing whether on IP or on design creation we can add an enormous amount of value here in India. How do we do all that? What are those best practices where we make IT meaningful and relevant for people who need IT, who use IT, whether for competitive reasons in their systems and running their companies more efficiently, or for consumers who consume IT? How can we make it more meaningful and more relevant? How can we think of more applications? And how we can have those government programs going on in a way that security and safety is also one of the most important best practices required when we think of IT ecosystem. And of course, no doubt about it, that environment has to be also taken care. So what are those best practices? These are some of the points that come up on our mind when we think of. But here are the experts in the industry, so we're going to start talking to them. So the first question that I would like to ask is basically, I would invite the association members here who are representing to share your points on how do you see when it comes to best practices, and many members who represent the association, what are your perspective on what are those important best practices that you think we require in India which can build a big, healthy and vibrant IT industry? Do you have a mic there? Yeah, any point, and it'll be very, very quick points. We will just take, it's almost like a bullet point panel discussion. Right.